hello, Green Spring. Today is Tuesday, November 28th, 2017. I'm Fran Duvall, your host for today, and I'm happy to start our interesting Village in Motion with Lynn Keefe, the Director of General Services. Welcome, Lynn, again. I'm always happy to have you because you come with notes and you're going to catch us up on everything.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, well, what's first?
Well, I'm not sure how interesting we'll be, but we're certainly busy in our department. So top of my list, we've had a good response already from a lot of residents about our snow subscription list. And you know I don't always like to say the S word, but being that it's the end of November, apparently winter is going to be upon us soon, so we want to be prepared. So residents who have reserved parking have the option to add themselves to the snow subscription list. And what that means, you see it on the screen there, you can sign up so that anytime there's a measurable snowfall, you're automatically known to our team so that they will clear your car and or your space. And if you don't have reserved parking but you'd like that done, you just need to call the office upon each time you want to have that done. Mm-hmm. That's also a good reminder. We're updating our files and making sure that we have information. If you look in the resident handbook, it talks about what you need to do if you want to have a car on campus. And that means you need to have a current driver's license. You need to have your vehicle registered in your name and with current registration and inspections, and bring copies of that information to General Services and make sure that we have that up to date in our file. We'll contact you if we find it's lapsed and be in touch with you. On occasion, we have somebody who maintains a space, a reserved space, but they don't have a car or their license any longer. And unfortunately, it does not qualify you to maintain that space. Mm-hmm. So we'll be asking, but if you have questions, you can certainly contact our office.
I better hurry off to get my car inspected. It has an 11 on the windshield.
Oh, yes. Well, I will say, while it's important we have it in our records, it's a nice reminder, and we have had on occasion somebody say, oh, I'm so glad you said that, because they didn't notice either the inspection or the registration on their license. So it's hard to keep all that straight.
But now if I get my license renewed, which I am in January, mm-hmm. mine is up for renewal, mm-hmm. my actual license to drive. Mm-hmm. Do I have to tell you that?
We may ask if we are in the file and we notice, say you sign up for the subscription service.
Oh, I
and
see.
if we look in the file and we see it's lapsed, they may call and you can just let them know you have a new expiration.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. And while we're talking about that, just a reminder, we haven't talked about it for a while, but our resident contractors, these are folks that you as a resident may hire on a regular basis. It could be a private duty aide, it could be a housekeeper. It's usually somebody who comes with some regularity, weekly, monthly. We want to make sure that they complete the registration process, and they do that through our General Services office. We also make sure that they are badged. So some private duty aides are provided a badge mm-hmm. by their agency, mm-hmm. And if not, we will provide one for them. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure that everybody has their identification.
Right, that's important.
Yes. And as we were talking about parking, also a good time as a reminder. So residents, you can park in any lot during the day. Obviously not in somebody else's reserved space, but we have had some questions, and I'm sure folks don't read their resident handbook nightly. But the guest spaces, while a resident may park there temporarily, they are not supposed to park in those spaces overnight.
And so those are the green marked spaces.
Those are the green marked spaces, yes. So just a reminder, and of course for the handicap spaces, we have a lot of folks who qualify for those. It's not intended to be someone's personal space. So mm-hmm. just a reminder, use it for the time that you need it, and then make it available to your neighbors.
That's reasonable.
Yes. Yes. Something I'm not so happy to talk about, but want to make sure folks are aware. We have had in the last week an unprecedented number of thefts from shelves, from your package shelf outside of resident apartments. While it's been primarily in neighborhood 2, it's a good time first to remind residents that we ask you not, for your own protection, not to put things out there that are of significant monetary or sentimental value. We certainly don't like to have to worry about that, but on occasion things go missing. In the last week, we've had an unprecedented number, as I said, and we are working closely with security, with our corporate partners, with folks who need to be involved to solve that. I won't go into detail about that, but the other thing that's so important, when we first started to hear about this, it seemed like there were much more than what we actually had reports for. And sure enough, we found out that there were more thefts that had occurred than had been reported. So it's so important, if you experience that, no matter how little, it's important to let security know. And they will send somebody out to take a report. But the sooner you do it, the faster that we include that information. Our reports don't only document what happened, but it allows us to identify trends, frequency, things like that. So anytime you think, well, maybe I should call security.
Okay.
Okay. And I have a few project updates I thought I'd share. We were talking a little bit in the lobby before I came in about one of the projects that many folks may have seen already that has started. So we're replacing the floor on the bridge between Town Center and Hampton Place. And there's actually a false wall built up there. So a lot of people use that. That's their main connection to Town Center, and certainly as as the weather gets colder, you may not want to go outside. So we're replacing the floor itself, not the carpeting, the subfloor, and so we're doing it 25% at a time. So that false wall protects the area where they're doing the work, and that way we never have to entirely close the bridge. So it's a little narrower path. We maybe need one of those one-lane bridge signs like they have in the country. But look for that information. We'll make sure that as that progresses, information gets shared on the scroll and bulletin boards.
And is that being done right now?
Yes, it started yesterday.
Okay.
So if you pass the bridge right now, the false wall is closest to the Town Center side, but you can still cross. The benches have been moved so that they don't impede anyone's progress, but that work is going on right now.
Okay.
So we're also, this week and next week, replacing washing machines in resident laundries in Maple Creek, Canterbury Square, Connor Terrace, and Hampton Place. So just look for that. It shouldn't impede laundry, but we routinely replace those as a life cycle, as they get to end of life.
You're talking about in a person's apartment?
No, in the resident laundry rooms.
Oh, in the laundry room.
In those resident buildings.
All right.
We're long overdue for some exterior doors, and folks say, I know, you've been telling me it's coming. So we're not happy in the time that it's taken. We're working with procurement to look for other vendors. We've been very, very disappointed in the length of time that it's taken. While these are custom doors and we recognize there's a lead time, our current provider has taken much longer. So.
And you're talking about the doors that would go out of the building to outside.
Correct. There's one GT door, GT10. I have a couple residents who remind me frequently. We've not forgotten. We are working diligently and trying to find a vendor that has a better time frame for future. We've also had a lot of work done in the pool and the spa, and especially as it gets colder, folks want to make sure that spa's operational. So it was fixed and filled, and now it needs the pump replaced. So we're this close to getting that operational. Should be by the end of the week, fully functioning.
Oh, good.
So repositioning, we've got lots going on at Garden Ridge, both inside and outside Inside, they're working now on Rose Court first floor and second floor, having finished the floors above. After the first of the year, they'll move to the Evergreen Terrace side, doing the same areas, the living room, dining room areas.
Sure.
Outside, it's probably even more exciting. So folks who like to watch that construction, you want to get over there, get a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
But in Town Center, we're also getting ready for some work that will begin. And as that work begins inside, it's going to require some pre-work so that it begins a domino effect. You may have noticed we don't have a lot of extra space. So if we're going to work on one space, we don't say, well, you know, go over here to this empty space.
Yeah.
So we're working to make sure that we have
it's pretty tight over there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we're working on the phasing strategy right now to make sure that's all in line. And once all that's approved, we'll have more information about a timeline and what to expect when. Part of that planning also involves, as we get into the later phase with Town Center, it will include the fitness center and the pool. And once that area is under construction, that means those spaces won't be available. So we're working to provide an alternate location for our fitness center in some form or fashion so that we have that on site. Obviously, we won't be able to have a temporary pool, but we are working to make sure that we can provide transportation to those swimmers who will be interested in continuing to swim. So we're working on all that right now with those teams.
Wow.
Lots of moving parts, right?
Yes.
Yes. Also, I would just mention one of the things they've worked on, and some folks may have been affected, for some water shutdowns. And while we often try to do that work before you're awake, and so it doesn't disturb you for very long, maybe having your water off or being without a hot or cold, some of the projects we're doing right now involve our partnership with Fairfax County Water Authority, and they don't start at 4 or 5 a.m. So in some cases we have to wait, but in addition to the repairs, they're also making improvements. So, for instance, if we need to do work in an area, sometimes the original construction valve requires you shut down a whole building or even more. And so they're adding valves as well. So please know that we try to disrupt our residents as little as possible, but the work is critical, and we'll keep it to a minimum.
Good, good. Well, did you practice this at home, I mean, before you come down, to fill in the 13 and a half minutes?
No.
Because you end it just perfectly.
Well, I'm afraid if I would, then I might get it wrong.
Oh,
so
okay.
You can say that I did, but...
I will. Lynn, honestly, your department is one of the most versatile here and covers so many things, and you're doing a great job.
Well, we appreciate the partnership with residents, and it takes our whole team, so thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming. Stay tuned now while we change microphones here.